Many Christians, when they start their journey into faith, they are really concerned about which Bible to read. Well, first of all, don't worry too much about what other people think you're reading. The most important thing is to understand your level of literacy. Now, you'll often find many people that say that the King James Bible is the best version of the Bible. Well, I actually don't think people really believe that. I think people say that to make them sound clever. Because if you actually read this Bible, it's written pretty much in like Shakespearean language. And if you're someone that just wants to get your head stuck into scripture, and you have to read things like ye dotheth in waywardness and all these sort of rather ancient English ways of speaking, it won't make sense to you. People will scoff at you and go, how can you not understand this? I'm a literary genius. There's a lot of ego around it. I find the King James Bible quite hard to read, and I think most people do, actually. If you're a new learner, I would actually suggest things like the CSB, Christian Standard Bible. And I'll tell you why. It's because when you read through it, there's things in there which are like in bold, right? You see all them things in bold. What that is it's quoting anything from the Old Testament. So when Jesus says something, they put it in bold, and you can flick back through the Old Testament and find the quote. So it's a brilliant way to learn. Now, my favourite Bible is the NRSV Catholic Bible. And before you start, I'm not trying to convert anyone. It's just the way it's written is really, really good. It's not written in ye old English. It's very easy to follow. And I'd like to just point something out quickly. Right? So the King James Bible has 66 books in it. The Catholic Bible has 73, right? Now there's a common misconception, and I think all Protestants should read a Catholic Bible, and I'll tell you why. It's because the books were taken out by Protestants, but not the Protestants that you think they were taken out by. They wasn't removed by Martin Luther or John Calvin. In fact, Martin Luther put all these 7 books into something called deuterocanonical books, right? Because they were scattered in the Old Testament, not in chronological order. So he put them all together in a subsection. All of these 7 books remained in the King James Version of the Bible up until the 19th century, until the American Bible Society wanted to print smaller Bibles. So they got this section of books, which conveniently has things like Maccabees 1 and 2 in them. And these books go against a lot of Protestant arguments. So it wasn't early Reformationists that removed these books at all. The early Reformationists understood the chronological order, so they put them in order and put them into one category. 19th century Protestants in America took them out, and they left them out, and it just became the standard. Which is sad, because these stories are really important. They're not apocryphal. Books that I would consider apocryphal are like known forgeries. So things like the Gospel of Judas or the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Barnabas. Right? All of these known forgeries. These deuterocanonical books are not forgeries, and Protestants recognise this as well. So, but in the King James, for example, if you're trying to read books like Isaiah, right, there's 66 chapters there, and it's one of the most poetic, beautifully written scriptures, but it is so hard to read in ye old English. Whereas if you read it in like NRSV, the new edition, it's quite a breeze. It's still just as beautiful and flows just as well, but it's modern literacy. Same goes for the Christian Standard Bible, actually. I would also suggest for like early learners the ESV as well. It's pretty good. But if anyone tells you as like a starter Christian to read the King James, they're not helping you, because as a starter book, if you're not an academic, this ain't for you. It's incredibly dense.